Hello, everyone. Yeah, walaikum assalam. How are you all? So, welcome to day 3 of ACCA P2P webinar, and this is your instructor Rizwan Mania. Before we proceed, a quick confirmation. Can people hear my voice? Is the voice audible to everyone? And yes, what else? The screen and the video. Okay, great. So, ready for the third exciting day. I hope 2 days up till now of this webinar definitely will be a big game changer for you for this June 21 attempt. And I hope you all are getting the confidence, gaining the confidence in the sections that we have completed in the last 2 days, were of budgets and variances. Now you will be in a much, much better position. Okay, so let's begin with the third day. The day-wise plan, as always, today is decision making. No, it's performance measurement. A small mistake, I think. Yeah, it's decision making. Day 3, we are starting with decision making. Performance measurement will be done tomorrow. And then last day, advanced costing technique. Uh, before I proceed, one important thing I need to tell you people here is this is my WhatsApp number. If you are still not part of the WhatsApp groups, you can quickly send me the message at this below number. As you can see, I'm sure you can see the screen. At the screen I've highlighted here. So you just send me a quick WhatsApp message if you are still not part of the group, so that I can add you in the group. Else, the admin has also shared the group link here, so you can join the group directly as well. Okay, so today's agenda as required by the students, once again based on your feedback, your choices. Relevant costing is what I'll be dealing with today. Then we'll move towards linear programming as people requested me for linear programming. So I'll be giving a very detailed lecture on linear programming today. Then we'll be moving towards pricing depending on the time. So yeah, it's part of the plan. Let's see how things move on. So, and after that, a Q&A session at the end. As for breaks, it remains the same, 9:30, 9:35, 5-minute break, and then 10:30 Pakistan time till 10:35, another break. So the planner, as always, I show you every day. You have to attend the all 5 days of the webinar. It's very important. Then I've also shared the $1 million plan for day 2, and that was shared in the WhatsApp group. So I'm sure you people are following the plans. The links that I'm giving you are relating to the previous webinars. And through this, if you attend the current one and you use the previous ones, like this, you'll be able to complete a lot of things before the exam. Grand revision is on Saturday. This is an extra session I'm conducting for you people. It's a revision session for you that I've organized. So that's on Saturday. I'll give you the details on the WhatsApp group. This is what I'll be updating you last day for the chapters that you have to read, and the easy slides are with you people already through the email. Mock, it's important. Remember, it's important. You need to go for mock and get it checked. If you're interested in mock-based session, stay tuned in the WhatsApp group. So here we go. Let's begin with relevant costing. Relevant costing is a topic that I've covered in my previous 3 webinars as well. In fact, I think 4 webinars as well up till now. And today, again, I'm covering relevant costing, but this time with a different decision. Before I proceed with these 4 types of decision, there are 4 types of decision that are expected in your examination. starting from one-off contracts, shutdown decisions, make or buy decisions, and further processing decision. So these are four types of decisions that you need to take using the principle of relevant costing. So the basic thing that I always tell everybody is that uh, whether it's a one-off contract, whether it's shutdown decision, whether it's a make or buy decision, or it's a further processing decision, you have to remember that there are simple five things to remember, which I can say as rule of five. Okay, this rule of five basically is very important to remember. This rule of five is basically a one through which you can solve any question of relevant costing, whether it pertains to these four decisions that are mentioned here, or even if it doesn't pertain to these four decisions and some other thing comes in your examination, still you can really easily solve using the rule of five. Okay, so what is rule of five? I think this is the most important thing that you have to keep in your mind, rule of five. So what is rule of five? Anything that needs to be a relevant cause, anything that you can consider to be a relevant cause will only be relevant cost if that is an incremental cost or an income. Now, what is an incremental cost or an income? The word incremental simply means additional cost. Okay, it simply means additional cost. So anything that arises because of a decision, anything that arises because of your decision is known as incremental cost. Okay, now there are so many examples of incremental cost, and obviously I'll be giving you example once I move towards my decision today as well. But a quick one, if you want to just get a basic idea, is that you already have one shop where you are doing your business, and now you are planning to open up the second shop as well. So what additional costs that you will incur to open up the second shop is an incremental additional cost. And for your decision making, you will not consider the first shop cost. You will only be focusing on the second shop cost. That's your incremental cost. Okay, whatever revenue that you will earn as well from that second shop is also known as incremental revenue, additional revenue. Okay, so once you basically are done with once you open up the second shop, and the revenue that you expect that you will earn is known as incremental revenue. So incremental cost is additional cost, a cost that will arise in future. Now that's very important, that anything to be a relevant cost, it must be a future cash flow. Okay, it must be a future cash flow, which means that it should be a future cash flow. It should arise in the future. So any cost or revenue that you expect to arise because of your decision in the future, so that's incremental cost or incremental revenue. Further, I'll discuss once I move towards the question. Another thing that makes a cost relevant is your opportunity cost, cost of second best alternative foregone. Okay, second best alternative foregone, that's important. Now, any sacrifice that you make, any second best option that you forego, okay, so that is your opportunity cost. A quick example, because there is sometimes a lot of misunderstanding in relation to this. So currently you are doing a job one, and that gives you an income of maybe 100,000. Okay, and you have been offered with a job two, the new job, where you will be getting a salary of 120,000. Okay, so considering the financial numbers, obviously everybody does consider the financial numbers. So you will opt for job two. Now, if you opt for job two, okay, so what are you sacrificing? Or I would say, considering these two options, which is the best option for you? Is job one the best option, first option, or job two the best or the first option? So obviously you would say that now job two is your first option, and job 1 is your second option. Okay, so now obviously job second becomes your second option. So this is your opportunity cost of second best alternative. Now this has become now your second best alternative, because the first best is obviously 120,000. So because of job 2, you are sacrificing your job 1. Okay, because of job 2, you are sacrificing your job 1. This means now job 1 will be your opportunity cost. So anything that you forego, anything that you sacrifice for the best option, that thing that you have sacrificed is your opportunity cost, and that is your job 1 is your opportunity cost. Okay, so remember my friends, a cost to be a relevant cost, it must be either incremental cost or opportunity cost. So either it will be an incremental cost, or it will be an opportunity cost. Then only it can become a relevant cost, whether the decision is of one-off contract, or it's shutdown decision, or it's make or buy, or further processing, whatever it is. Okay, now coming towards the situation where the cost will be classified as irrelevant cost. Okay, irrelevant cost. Now what is an irrelevant cost? A cost that is not a relevant cost, obviously. So irrelevant cost means what? A cost that will not be an irrelevant cost. It will not be a relevant cost when it is a sunk cost, which means already had been incurred. Very commonly we say it's a past cost, which means at the time of taking the decision, this cost has already been incurred before. So you are taking a decision right now. So whatever cost that has been incurred in the past is not more is not relevant for you anymore. So that's your past cost, that's your sunk cost already had been incurred. Then another is a committed cost. Now you need to understand the difference between sunk and committed, because it's a very thin boundary between these two. And let's see what the boundary is. Now, sunk cost is a past cost. As I mentioned, it has already been incurred in the past, whereas committed cost is a future one. Now, that's interesting, okay? As I mentioned earlier when I started this topic, that relevant cost will be a future cost, right? So if relevant cost will be a future cost and this committed cost is a future cost, so the question is why committed is not a relevant cost. So here you need to understand the point. Listen, it's a future cost, but the commitment to incur the cost has been done in past. Okay, so it's very much clear that a very good example of this would be guaranteed minimum wage. Okay, guaranteed minimum wage. What is a guaranteed minimum wage? You all know, when we guarantee our labor that okay, fine, we'll pay you an X amount, irrespective of the fact whether we have work or not. We guarantee you that we'll pay you $1,000 per week. Okay, so we are giving them the guarantee that yes, this is a commitment that we are making. Even though we'll pay you in the future, obviously every end after every end of the week we'll pay you, but that guarantee that we have given them is irrelevant cost for our decision making purpose, because though it is not incurred yet, but my friends, you need to understand the fact that the commitment to pay has been done in the past. So that's irrelevant cost. Now the thin boundary that I was talking about is what? Sunk cost is a past cost, which means this is a cost that has been incurred in the past. Okay, that has been incurred in the past, whereas committed cost has not yet been incurred. Okay, the difference is that the committed cost has not yet been incurred, but still it's a past, sorry, but it's an irrelevant cost, just because the commitment to incur has been done in the past. Okay, so the commitment to incur has been done in the past. So that's the issue that it's a irrelevant cost. So I hope now it's clear. The thin boundary is clear. Sunk has been committed, and committed costs will be incurred in the future, but the commitment has been made in the past. So that's why it's irrelevant. Okay, any notional cost, any imaginary cost, any artificial cost is not a relevant cost. Okay, any cost which is artificial is something non-cash based. It's an artificial, like an absorption that you do. Okay, you're absorbing the overheads on an arbitrary basis, so that is not a relevant cost, obviously. Okay, that's a notional cost, that's an imaginary cost, and not a relevant cost at all. Okay, so yeah, non-cash items not relevant cost, obviously, and this is your rule of 5. So my friends, it's my small advice to all of you: whenever you stuck anywhere in relation to relevant costing, just recall my tip, and that is rule of 5. Just try to relate this to rule of 5. If it falls under either this or this area, so it's a relevant cost, and if it falls either under this or this or this, so it's a irrelevant cost, and you will not be confused in deciding whether it's relevant or irrelevant. So for that, I'm giving you a small gift, and the gift is rule of 5. Okay, now, after the basics of relevant costing, now we use these relevant costing principles to take decision in case of one-off situation, the one-off contract I'm talking about, or you take decision in case of shutdown decisions, make or buy decisions, and further present decisions. So I've covered a one-off contract earlier in my previous webinar, whereas I've also covered shutdown decision as well and make or buy decision as well. So today it's turn for further processing decision, and see how will we take decision in case of further processing, and how do we take decision in that case when it's a further processing decision. Okay. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'll definitely use the same approach, is that I'll be using the past paper question. So before I move towards section C, my tips are important for you. So tip for section B is that you have to complete a section C answer, section C question in 36 minutes. As I mentioned earlier, it's 20 marks. So into 1.8 makes 36. Okay. Secondly, you need to follow the instructions given in the question and understand the requirements. And we have already worked a lot on this thing in our day 1, where I did mention how to break the question to verbs and objects. For calculative questions, perform calculations that are carefully structured and clearly set out. The workings, I did cover that as well in day 2, where I told you how to present the answer and what referencing should we be doing. Okay. And for theory, you have to use simple English. So now it's time to move towards the question as well. So we are all ready to start the question, and the question is all set, ready to start. So let's begin. Okay. So let's begin with process company question, and I definitely again will be solving this using spreadsheet. So just wait. Okay, so let's begin with this question of process company, and let's solve using spreadsheet. Before I start, let's highlight few important things. Now, process company has two divisions, division A and division B. Division A produces 3 types of chemical products, L, M, and S, using a common process. Okay, that's fine. Each of the products can either be sold by division A to external markets, okay, uh, at split off point, right? So what I'll do, I'll make a short diagram here to make it easy for you to understand. So basically, this is the common process that is run by division A. Okay, this is a common process. Okay, and 3 products basically emerge at this point. So this is a split off point, because split off point is a point which you can keep in your mind like this, that a point where you can easily figure out that how many products are developed. Okay, so that is your split off point. So there are three products as split off point, like L, M, and S. So this is the split off point. Okay, this is the split off point where it's clear that there are three products now, L, M, and S. Okay, let me take few questions here. Non-cash flow is considered as irrelevant. Yeah, exactly. Depreciation is a non-cash item, so yeah, it will be irrelevant. Uh, Notional is an imaginary cost, artificial cost. Like the best example of this is absorbed overheads, right? Absorbed overheads is something that is notional, right? So this comes under this. Same goes for depreciation as well. What is split off? Ahmed Mishal, this is what I'm saying. Split off is a point where you get to know that how many products have been emerged. If you remember the F2 concept of process costing, that there is process 1, process 2, process 3, right? So the point where you exactly now know that how many products have been emerged is known as a split off point, right? For example, you are processing oil, okay? So a time comes where you now know that from this oil, we have made petrol, we made petrol and we made diesel, right? So the point where it's very clear that from this petrol or this petrol have resulted into sorry, I beg your pardon, the point where it's very much clear that from this oil we have made petrol and diesel. So that is known as split off point, okay? Because from oil you do get petrol and diesel, right? So the point where it's very much clear that how many products have been emerged is split off point. So it says that division A basically produces three products LMS through a common process, and this is basically the structure up till now. So now what option division A has is to sell L, M, and S at split off point. Okay, so what option they have is to sell L, M, and S at split off point, right? So this is the option that they have here, right? Okay. Uh, and next, what it says. So sell this at split off point or can be transferred to division B for individual further processing into products LX, MX, and SX. Okay. Now, the first option they have is to sell this at split off point. Okay, split off point. And the other option that they have is basically to further process this, further process. Okay, and after further process, convert L into LX, convert M into MX, convert S into SX, and then sell as a further processed products. Okay, so you can see here, it's pretty much clear that what exactly it means. Either you need to sell at this point, as I mentioned earlier, either you sell at this point at split off point, or you sell this after further processing. Now, this is the decision making of further processing decision as well. It's a very simple decision making, to be honest. Those who are still confused, what exactly do we do in further processing decisions? So it's very simple. The decision making is very simple. Let me tell you, the decision making, and you need to remember this always, okay? The decision making actually starts from split off point, okay? Just remember these key things. The decision making starts from split off point, right? And the decision that you have to take is what? You have to take a decision between two options. That is either to sell the product at split off, okay, or to further, process the product and make it more refined one and sell this after further processing. Okay, so this is the decision making. Always this is the decision making that you have to keep in your mind. One more example I can add here to make it more clear for you people is that uh, from this oil you made petrol. Okay, now this was a regular petrol, right? Now either you sell this as a regular petrol at the split off point, okay, or you further refine it you make it more better and convert this regular petrol into high octane and sell this as a high octane petrol, right? So this is the option you have either to sell this as a regular petrol or to sell this as high octane after further processing it. Okay, so this is the decision making, and I've mentioned this decision making starts from split off point. So remember what all has been done before the split off. What all has been done before the split off is irrelevant cost. From relevant costing principles, all what has been done in the past is irrelevant cost, because your point of decision making actually starts from split off. So you are standing at split off point and you are looking in the future, okay, either to sell this at split off or further process and then sell it later. So all what has been done before the split off is a past cost, is a sunk cost, is already had been incurred. Okay, so all this is irrelevant, and this is irrelevant just because it's a sunk cost, past cost already had been incurred. So just keep this in your mind. You're standing at split off point. Anything that has been done before that is a past cost, sunk cost, irrelevant, and the decision actually starts from here. So you have to decide whether to sell this at the split off or to further process it. So that's it. I hope this is clear to all of you and there's no issue here. Now, let's further read and see what is written here. So it says in November 2013, which is a typical month, Division A's output. Okay, so this means output of Division A is this one, right? L 1200, M 1400, S 1800s. Okay, so it's very much clear now that L, M, S 12, 14, and 1800 is the output. The market selling prices per kg for the products both at split off and after processing are as follows. So let's have a look here. The selling price at split off is this one. Okay, at split off, it's this one. And after processing, it's this one. Okay, so obviously one can easily imagine that the selling price after processing is much higher than the selling price at split off. And still, if you're confused why is that, so I would give you a very simple example of that, and that example is what? That example is regular petrol is expensive or high octane is expensive. Can you give me a quick reply here, everybody? So I'm sure your answer will be that high octane is much more expensive than regular petrol, right? So that's why after processing, the price will be higher because it's a more refined product. Anyways, this is done. The the specific costs for each individual process for the process are you can see the costs are given here. And this is what? This is basically specific cost of further processing. Further processing leads to a normal loss of 5% at the beginning. It's very important to figure out the time period at the beginning of the process for each of the products being processed. That's fine. Let's see the requirement. Calculate is the examinable verb number 1, and conclude, because I have already mentioned before that and basically gives you the idea of the further requirements. Okay, so it's calculate and conclude. You have to conclude as well at the end whether any of the products should be further processed in division B in order to optimize the profit or for the company as a whole. So you have to take a decision that whether you should further process the products, okay, or you sell that at split off point. So it's decision making for the processing and selling at split off point. Now, before I proceed here, a quick $1,000,000 technique I need to tell you here, and that I will quickly write in front of you as well. For every further processing decision that you take, remember my key tips. And what is the key tip is, first you need to keep in your mind that you need to work out the increase in revenue uh, due to further process. Okay. Second, always work out increase in cost due to further process. Okay. And maybe loss of income due to further process. Okay. Or I would say loss of contribution as well due to further process. Now you need to keep three things in your mind whenever you are taking decision of further processing. Just remember Rizwan Mania's simple $1,000,000 guideline is that you need to think about increase in revenue. So now because of further process, what will be the increase in revenue? Okay. And what will be the increase in cost? And if there is any loss of contribution because of that, so that also you need to keep in your mind. Now, if you remember these 3 points before you start doing the calculation, so I think it will become really easy and it will give you a very stepwise approach as to how to approach the answer. But before I start doing the calculations, I need to connect these 3 points with rule of 5. Okay, let's see rule of 5, how I can link here. So this increase in revenue is my incremental revenue. Okay, this increase in cost is my incremental cost, and both are relevant. And loss of income or contribution is my opportunity cost. So because of further processing, the revenue that will increase is it's a relevant one. The cost that will increase, it's also relevant one because of further processing. And any income that you are losing because of further processing, and there is a possibility, for example, your further processing plant is a plant where you will either further process your product or you will give that plant to someone else on an outsourcing basis. Okay, because if you don't have your own work or if you're not working on your own, so you can give your plant to someone else, to some third party, and that third party will pay you any rental cost of the plant. So that rental that you are getting because of that plant is your income, right? So if you now further process your own product in that plant, so you are losing that rental income, you are losing that revenue that you could have earned or the income that you could have earned from that plant. So that becomes your opportunity cost. That loss of contribution becomes your opportunity cost. That is important to consider. Okay, so possibility of loss of contribution could be there, but normally I think these two are the most important ones for further processing. That is increase in revenue due to further processing and increase in cost due to further processing. So I hope you can keep this in your mind. Just keep this in your mind and then we'll take the decision at the end. So let's begin with the solution as well using spreadsheet. Okay, now this is a section C question that I'm doing in front of you, so I'll be using spreadsheet here. Okay, part A. Now, 3 products, LX, MX, and SX, right? So, as per the guidelines, first thing to consider is increase in revenue, right? Okay, increase in revenue. For that, I need to do what? I need to work out the revenue after processing, okay, and revenue at split off. Okay, so obviously you have two revenues here, revenue at split off and revenue at split off and after processing, right? So let's do the quick calculations here. First of all, let's work out revenue after processing. Now, do keep in your mind that there was something given about the loss here, and it's very important to find out when does the loss arise, okay? So obviously, you need to keep this in your mind. This is further processing, okay? So now it's very simple. Let me explain you in a very simple way that this is the split off point, let's suppose, and here we have a machine of further processing, okay? So all the output that we get here, we shift that output to further processing machine for further processing, okay? So that's the idea behind this. So do keep this in your mind. It's the, what you say, it's the split off point, and this is further processing. I'll make it really easy, interesting for you. Okay, now so if you further process, from here it starts the further processing area, right? So if you further process, you will result in a loss of 5% at the beginning of the process, okay? So this means at the beginning, at the start of the process, there will be a 5% loss, right? And if there will be a 5% loss at the start of the process, so how much percentage will you be getting at the end of the process? So can you give me a quick answer, everyone? If loss is at the start of the process, that is 5%, so how much will you be getting at the end of the process? So it's very simple. The answer is very simple. You will be getting what? 95% at the end of the process, right? So what you're going to do is, it's very simple. We are given with the kgs here, 1200, 1400, and 1800. So simple, I'll take 95% of all these three and will multiply with the selling price that is given to me here, and that selling price will be after processing selling price, okay? So that will be after processing selling prices, okay? So let's do this working. Is equals to, for 1200 multiplied by 0.95 multiplied by 6.7, okay? So this is the revenue of LX. Second, similar working I need to perform here. 1400 into 0.95 into 7.9, okay? So this is the revenue for MX, and now SX, it's 1800 into 0.95 into 6.8, okay? So it's 1800, it's into 0.95 into 6.8, and that's 11,628, okay? Now revenue at split off. Now that's easy. I don't think that is a problematic thing. If you do not further process it, this means it's very simple. If you do not further process it, so there will be no further processing loss, okay? If you do not further process it, so there will be no further processing loss because you are not taking those material to the further processing machine. So in that case, your quantity will 100% be same as 1200, 1400, and 1800, and you'll be selling these at the respective split of prices, right? So because there is no loss here. So let's do the working. 1200 into 6.7, second 1400 into 7.9, okay, and 1800 into 6.8, right? So now the increase I need to work out, and that's the decision making, right? If I will further process it, because you haven't taken the decision yet. You haven't taken the decision yet. You will take the decision, okay? You are standing at the split off point. This is what I mentioned earlier. So if you further process it, how much additional revenue will you earn? So let's deduct this revenue from this figure. How much additional revenue will you earn? So the difference of these two is your incremental revenue of okay, I think I just used the wrong price here. Yeah, it's not 6.7, it's 5.6. Yeah. For the second one as well, I did, yeah, I did use the wrong prices. And for the third one, again, yeah, it's 6.1. Okay, so it's clear that these are the prices. Now the difference is, so it's 918 first, second, 1407 third, it's 648. So this is the incremental revenue. This is the increase in revenue that I have worked out. I mistakenly took the wrong prices. I just changed it here. So it's revenue at split off and revenue after processing. And this is your increase in revenue that were required to be worked out. I've done that working. Okay. So as per my instruction, this is what you have to work out every time in further processing decision questions. Second, increase in cost. The second one is increase in cost. Now, what is increase in cost? It's simply the further processing cost. Okay, it's simply the further processing cost of LX, MX, and SX. So let's now compute the increase in cost. So it's further processing cost. Okay, so for further processing cost, what are we supposed to do? Let's have a look here. For further processing cost, what are we supposed to do? So we are given with the cost here, that's 0.5, 0.7, 0.8. Now, one thing I need to ask you people here, that's the most interesting part, and majority who did mistake in this part, and this is also what examiner was concerned about. So now the point here is that what do you think when I'm calculating the further processing cost? Should I take 100% of the kgs, or should I take 95% of this kgs? Now I need your quick responses here, please. 100% or 95%? Yeah, please. 100% or 95%? Okay, now see, lots of mixed answers I'm getting, and this is what I was talking about. 100 or 95%. Now this is interesting. So I am getting mixed answers, and this is what the problem is. Now, unfortunately, you can't speak. Otherwise, I would have asked few of you to explain me why you are saying 100 or 95%. Anyways, still, I have seen your responses here. Now, let me make this clear. 95 or 100? What should I do? Interesting. So, let me explain you. Let's take a very good example here. Now, this is a glass of water. I know it's empty right now. You will like my example here. Okay, this is a glass of water, and this is the split off point, and this is for the processing machine, right? Okay, so let's assume that for product L, 1200 kgs, it's written kgs, right? So let's take liters, for example. 1200 liters we have at the split off point of product L, 1200 liters. Okay, getting the point, everybody? 1200 liters you have at the end of split off point. Agreed? Now, there is a 70-year-old person who works in our factory, and the responsibility of that person is what? The responsibility of that person is to pick all the materials from split off and take all those till the further processing machine and input in the further processing machine. Okay, so that's the job of that person who is 70 years old. Okay, so now that 70-year-old person, listen, now the 70-year-old person does what? uh he took this 1200 liters from here, and he is 70 years old, right? So his hands, are shaking. So like this, his hands are shaking. See? And the water, or whatever it is, the liters, it's falling down, down, down. And see, now he's inputting into the further processing machine, right? And if he's inputting the further processing machine, still his hand is shaking. And before it goes into the machine, 5% went down. 5% is on the floor. Now, what do you think? What do you think? 5% is on the floor. Come on. So how much actually went into the machine? This is my question. How much actually went into the machine? This is my question. 95 or 100? Now, I don't expect any wrong answers now. Yeah. And this is the beauty of this example. Agree? This is experience. What do you say? Impressed? Yes or no? So 5% is on the floor, right? 5% is on the floor. That never went into the further processing machine. And if that never went into the further processing machine, so how much actually went in the further processing machine is 95%. So now your cost will be incurred on 100% or 95%. Obviously, it will be incurred on 95%, because that 5% is on the floor. It never went into the further processing machine. So how will you incur cost on that? So that's beginning of the process. The word beginning of the process actually means this. Okay, so that's beginning of the process, that at the start 5% already gone. So how much you have at the start? It's 95% you have at the start. So the cost will be 95% based. Okay, come on, like the example, guys. Say yes or no. I think you're not impressed. Okay, so now further processing cost is what I'm calculating here, and negative sign, make sure you use negative sign here because it's a cost. So 1200 into 0.95 into 0.5. Okay, right, 570. Second, negative sign, 1400 into 0.95 into 0.7. Okay. Third, negative 1800 into 0.95 into 0.8. Right. So this is all you have as further processing cost, and I hope this is clear to all of you. Now, anything else? Any loss of contribution, stuff like that? Nothing. That's it. Two things done, and it's time to work out the expected profit slash loss. So let's use the sum formula. Increase in revenue, additional revenue, if you further process, will be 918, whereas the additional cost will be 570. So you will end up with 348 as a positive profit. If you further process MX, you will earn 476. If you further process SX, so you will incur a loss of 720. So you haven't taken the decision yet. Now you will take a decision, because you were just imagining the calculations. You were just imagining that, okay, if I further process, what will be my additional revenue? So it's your incremental revenue according to rule of 5, and this is your incremental cost according to rule of 5. And yes, 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 yes. So your incremental profit and losses here. So now it's time to conclude. So how will I conclude, friends? Anyone who will help me in conclusion? So what do you think? Which product should I further process and which should I not? So obviously, yes, further process this one, you are getting a profit. Further process this one, you are getting a profit. And don't further process it, sell at split off because it's showing you a loss. Okay, so I hope this is the decision. And if you want to look at the workings, yes, let me show you the working of the cost. It's 1200 into 0.95 into the further processing cost. So we'll further process LX and MX, and we will not further process SX because it's not worth it. So we'll sell SX at split off. It's not that SX is S itself is a loss making product. Okay, we'll not convert S into SX because that will not be a good thing for us. So we'll sell that at split off. That's it. Okay, 5% loss is due to further processing. Okay, but you're not getting the point. It's at the beginning of the process. That's the important part. And I give you a very good example. I don't know still why you're confused here. I did give you an example that 5% is actually on the floor. It never went into the further processing machine. So just imagine if your cost will only be incurred on those liters or kgs that you actually processed it. Okay, so 5% never came into the machine. That never was part of the process, right? So that has never been processed. So how will you incur a cost? And remember, it's your variable cost, and variable cost is a cost that varies with the level of output. So your output of 5% never came into the machine. Okay, so how will you charge the cost then? Yeah, if the loss was during the process, or during is something I don't expect to come at F5 level. The only thing I expect to come at F5 level is at the end of the process. Now, let's imagine a situation. If the loss would have been at the end of the process, okay, at the end of the process, in that case, your cost would be at your cost will be based on 100% of the kgs because that's the end of the process. Okay, so if it's the end, then you would have taken that 5% as well, but because it's at the beginning, so that never came into the machine, so you can't charge cost on that. Okay, thank you. Thank you, my friends. I think this is clear to all of you, the way I've explained you for the processing decision. If you're still confused, just remember my quick words, and the words are: further processing decision making is what? Just put yourself at the split off point and imagine, should I sell this at split off or should I sell this at after further processing? That's the decision making. All what has been done before the split off is sunk cost, past cost. Whatever cost you have incurred before that, maybe your joint processing cost, we call that as joint processing cost, all that is irrelevant. Okay, yeah, you can do calculations per unit, but still there is a problem of losses here, so that's what you have to consider. Okay, I said, Ehtasham, it's not possible actually to have during the process, because if it's during the process, then the complicated calculation would be that at the during the process 50% that has been completed will charge cost on that, and that has not been completed will not charge cost on that. Okay, so that is a complicated situation, I would say here. It all depends on percentage completion of the product in that case. Okay. Okay, so I hope this is clear to all of you. This 5% game is clear. Come on, what's your reply, everybody? Is that example of that old man was okay for you people? Yes or no? Well understood. No. Okay, that's fine if you just write one statement for a conclusion that, okay, we'll further process these two and we will not process the third one. That's okay. The only one statement would be okay. Okay. Okay, that's great. As for conclusion, Sefi, I hope it's clear to you now. Right. So done with the decision making or further processing. So what's the mindset? I would say it's the simple mindset you have to keep for further processing, and that mindset is what, friends? Just remember my quick tip, and that is this one. For whenever you see a question of further processing, just work out increase in the revenue, difference between two revenues, just calculate increase in the cost for the processing cost, that's it, and loss of contribution if there is any, and then take a decision by looking at the net profit or loss, whether it's profit or loss, and then take the decision according to that. Okay, so right, that's good one. I hope this is clear. Rule of five, incremental cost, opportunity cost, sunk cost, committed cost, and notional cost. Now, for the remaining, I'll share the links with you people again through $1 million plans. So for that, you need to keep in your mind $1 million plan. So do remember that $1 million plan stuff. So I will be covering things through $1 million plan. The remaining decisions of make or buy, shut down, whatever you need to then see and understand through the videos. Okay. Now, jumping towards the next topic before I take the short break, it's linear programming. It was very much requested by a lot of students in the WhatsApp group. So I'll go with linear programming because there are lots of questions actually now because the paper is CBE and people are not very much, sure that whether you need to make a graph or you don't need to make a graph, how the question will come. So if it comes in section C, obviously, you don't have to make a graph because now you're not expected to build a graph on your spreadsheets. Okay, so that means that graph will be given to you, and using that graph, you need to solve the answer. So, but still, I think everybody should know what are the graphical steps and what are the non-graphical steps. If you know at least, so you exactly will be able to read the question very thoroughly. Because what I think is that people at least should, I know you don't have to make the graph, that's fine, but at least you should know what non-graphical steps are, so that you are able to figure out whenever there is a need to do it. Okay, so that's why I'll start with the question here, and through this question I'll explain you all the steps first. Okay, so the question that I've picked for today is a very good question, and that question I'll start right after the break because it's almost 9:30. So yeah, let's start with a quick short break here, and after that we'll start with this question. If you have any questions here, I can just give you answers as well in a minute or so. For conclusion, I did mention that you have to maybe you can write one liner as to the products that you will not sell at split off and the one that you will sell at split off. Okay. Okay, so 9:30 is our break, and I will resume the session 9:35. And once I resume it, I will start with the question directly. So it's still, we have a few seconds left till 9:30. If you have any question, anyone? Okay, that's it. No questions. So let's take a break. See you after 5 minutes. Hmm? Okay, welcome back. So now what I'll do here is, now those of you, once again, those of you, I just want to give a quick disclaimer here. Those of you who say, okay, I've done this question before, oh, now my time will be wasted. Come on, please. Let's be much mature. I know better how to save time. Okay. So what my point is, I will make this very clear that how this will come in CBE based now. And through this, I can give you quick ideas of things as well. So just listen to me very carefully. Okay. And yes. So now, yeah, cut and stitch makes two types of suits using skilled two types of suits, making using skilled tailors labor and delicate and unique fabric material. Okay, it's very simple that this is a resource and this is a resource. Okay, now both tailors and fabric are in short supply, and short supply is very clearly mentioning you that this is a limiting factor, right? And so the accountant at CS has correctly produced a linear programming model to help decide the optimum production mix. Okay. Now, what is optimum production mix? People are very confused by the word optimum production plan or optimum production mix, right? It's basically indicating you the best plan that is if you're making two products and the products are, two types of suits. So how many should be the first type of suit and how many should be the second type of suits. Okay. Now the model is as follows: variables. Now what I'll do here is I will do one thing. Let me show you what I'll do here. Okay. Right. The first step is to define variables. So you can see this is the variable. Variable means X or Y. So one is work suits, so that is W, and second is lounge suits, that is L. So optimum production plan will tell you how many W's to make and how many L that you need to produce, right? So define variables. We have done this. Okay. Second is objective function. What is objective function? You can see here. Objective function basically is the core objective of an organization. And now that could be either of the two things. Number one, it could be maximization of your contribution, or it could be minimization of cost. Up till now, maximization of contribution has always been tested. Okay. So this is the objective function, that is on 1 unit of W, you get a contribution of 48, and on 1 unit of L, you get a contribution of 40. Okay. So 48W, 40L means that whatever decision that you will take through this optimum production plan in relation to W and L, you will input the value of W here and you will input the value of L here, and you will get the answer of maximum contribution. Okay, you will get the answer of maximum contribution. So linear programming is a computer model, and through this model you will get an answer. You will get an answer, and this answer basically will tell you that how many W or L you are producing, and whatever answer you will get will be the best answer, which will ensure maximization of contribution. So that's your objective function. Done with step 2. Third, identify and convert constraints into inequalities. Now, constraint basically in simple words, it's your limiting factor. Okay. So constraints are given to you here. The first is tailor is a constraint, and this is the inequality of tailor labor. Okay. That is 5W, which means 7 hours. Sorry, I beg your pardon. 7W means 7 hours it will take to produce 1W. 5 hours it will take to produce 1 L, and the maximum what you have is 3,500 hours only. And what is inequality? This is the sign of inequality, which is right now less than or equals to, which means that maximum you can use is 3,500 or less than that. You can't exceed, because it was very clearly mentioned that this is in short supply. Okay, right. So this is represented as line T on the graph. So we'll just go to line T after a few minutes. Fabric, 2 kgs of fabric, sorry, meters of fabric for W, and 2 meters for L. And the inequality is less than or equals to, again, is giving me the idea that maximum meters that I have is 1,200. So I'll either use 1,200 maximum or less than that, right? Okay. This is line F on the graph. So this is the second limiting factor. Third is a different limiting factor. Now listen, tailor and fabric. Tailor is labor, fabric is material. These two are known as resource based limiting factor. Okay, what we call these as resource based limiting factor. And now what I have third is a different one, and that is demand based limiting factor. That's demand based limiting factor. This is a very important topic, and I'll try my best today to make it really easy for you people, inshallah. Okay, but you have to stay with me till the end. Okay, so demand based limiting factor. And why I'm calling this as demand, so just read here. It says production of work suits, that is W, cannot exceed 400. It should be less or equal to 400, which means you can't go more than 400. And why is that? Maybe it's a government restriction in the market that you can't supply more than 400. So if you get any restriction of that sort, so that is basically demand based limiting factor. So from this you have to learn that limiting factor could either be resource based or it could either be demand based. Okay, that's fine. Great. So there are 3 limiting factors in this case. Done with this step. Now, the next is identify non-negative constraints. Non-negative constraints. It's very simple, non-negative constraints. It's by default. It's a very simple thing. I can tell you here as well. What's non-negative constraint? It's same every time. That is W greater or equal to 0, L greater or equal to 0, means that this is basically more than or equals to, right? More than or equals to. Now, it's a logical common sense stuff. And that is what? That is W greater or equal to 0 or L greater or equal to 0 means that your product W will either be 0, either you will not produce W, or you will produce it. Once you produce it, so that's more than 0. And if you do not produce it, that's 0. Same for L. L, the answer of L can be 0, that this you will not produce it, or you will produce it, so that will be more than 0. And that's very much clear on the graph as well, because you see the graph has 2 axes here. One is the one is the x-axis and one is the y-axis, and both are on positive sides, right? So we don't make a graph like this that we have negative x-axis and negative y-axis, because negative means that W will be in negative, L will be in negative, which will not be the case, because you don't produce a product or you produce it. It's never 5 negative W's that will produce. No, that's not the case. So every time non-negative constraint will be of similar nature, that only relates to products. And in examination, you should know that what is non-negative constraint, that is your product will either be 0 or more than 0. That's it. Okay, because your graph is always, both axes are on positive side. So great, done. These are non-graphical steps. That's great. Convert inequalities into equalities means very simple. Just use equals to sign with all the equations, like equals to, that's it, equals to here, that's it, equals to, done. Graph each equation that has already been done, and this is what we expect to be done in the paper as well. So you can see here, this T is basically the line for labor, this F is the line for material, and this P is the line for production. So the graph is very much clear in front of you, and this is what is expected now after the CBEs. So that's done. Identify feasible region. Okay, identify feasible region. Now this is what you need to know. Now this what I think can come in your examination. Right now, the feasible region is very much clearly identified. If I read here, the accountant has correctly identified OABCD as the feasible region. Okay, and you can see here, this is, and the points of the feasible region are also clear. Points are also clear, that is O, A, B, C, D. So if you look in the graph right now, it's very much obvious where is O. Okay, it's origin, A, B, C, and D. Okay, small dots I'm making here. So basically it's very clear that which is the feasible area which is given. But normally I expect in CBE that you might be asked to find out the feasible area. Okay, now what I'm teaching you here is very important. It's very unique. I'm sure most of you haven't seen if you are taking classes from me first time. If it's Rizwan Mania for you first time, so this will be for you first time, no matter from where you've taken the classes, in which part of the world you live. This is for the first time, I'm sure about it. Okay, so let's assume that we don't know the feasible area here. We have the graph, we have the lines of tailor, fabric, and production, but we don't know where is the feasible area and how to find out the feasible area. So I'll tell you here what we need to do. uh, we need to find out the feasible area. So that's very much obvious. You look at the inequalities to find out the feasible area. You always look at the inequalities, and through inequalities you find out the feasible area. So do look here, it's less than inequality here, it's also less than inequality here, and it's also less than inequality here. So the basic easiest way I'm telling you here, that if all the inequalities are of less than, if all the inequalities are of less than, so the most inner region, okay, so the most inner region is the feasible area. Now what I mean to say by inner region, the area which is close to the origin is the feasible area. So it's very simple to say that this you can see here. Okay, yeah, this you can see here, this basically is the most inner region. Okay, closer to the origin is the feasible area, because all the inequalities, all the line says less than or equals to, so the most inner region will be the feasible area, and this is the most inner region, right? So this is one way to figure out that. That's fine. How many corners are there? So it's origin, it's A, it's B, it's C, and it's D here. So that's why it was mentioned here as well. It's O, A, B, C, D. That's it. Done. Perfect. Now after this, it says determine the optimum point. Once you have found out the feasible area, once you are clear what is the feasible area, the next step is to find out the optimum point. What is optimum point? The final answer, the best answer, the optimum production plan. So for that, there are two methods to find out. Okay, one is by inspection. We can also call this as simultaneous equation method, as well. Okay, by equation method. And second is ISO contribution line. Now ISO, what is ISO? It's a Greek word. Okay, it's a Greek word and it means equal. ISO means equal. So what is ISO contribution line? Means equal contribution lines. Equal contribution lines. Okay, now uh, the preferred method, the most liked method from examiner's point of view is ISO contribution line. And you can see here, you are provided with a dotted line here, and this dotted line is basically your ISO line here. So let me just again highlight these lines. Yeah, this is the dotted lines, and this is your ISO line. This is given to you here. So this is the line, and this is the most preferred method of your examiner to find out the optimum point, because now it's clear the feasible area is O, A, B, C, D, right? And O can never be the answer, origin, because at this O, X is 0, Y is 0, or I would say W is 0 or L is 0. So that can never be the answer. So answer could either be at A, or it could either be at B, or it could either be at C or D. So now where is the answer? So for that we have two methods. As I mentioned, it's ISO contribution line and its simultaneous equation, or by inspection method. So right now I have this line here, ISO line. And even though in the question, this is also given, but let's assume we don't know, because this can come in your examination. Let's create a situation that where we don't know. So now how to figure out, is A, is B, is C, or is D the answer? How to figure out through ISO line. So let's go to Rizwan Mania techniques, and let's see what Rizwan Mania has right now for you people. So you can see the graph here, and now it's the same graph. Okay, so just observe what I'm doing here, and this is best way to find out the point. The point is A, B, C, D the answer. In examination, in CBs, in front of your computer screens, this is what you have to do as well. Don't be shy about it. Whether it's a remote, nobody would see at your home, and if the CB center, still if anybody says, just ignore and do what I've done here. Now, yes, the magic starts, and do give me a feedback if you like this technique and if you're seeing this for the first time. Okay, so this is the feasible area. Now the dotted line is the ISO line, as you can see, the red line here. And now the line, you know, how to find out the optimum point. So let's see. The line is extending. Yeah. And the line is starting to go up. Magic. See. And where it stops. Yes. Come on. Where it stops. It stops at A. No. D. No. C. No. It stops at B. So listen, my friend. This is the ISO line. Just scale up the line. Now you would be saying, how will it scale up the line? So I'll tell you how we'll scale up the line. For example, this is your scale. You can take scale, right, in your examination, and this is your computer screen, right? So let me give you the example. Now this is a computer screen, and this is your scale. See, for example, so just keep this scale in front of a computer screen like this. Okay, this is the line, and in front of your screen, just take this like this. Just move on like this. Just scale up. Okay, just scale up. Sorry. This is, yeah, scale up. So this is the line of ISO, and see, just scale up like this, and see the last point it touches in the visible area. This is the scale. This is the computer screen. Just scale up this line like this through your scale, and see the last point it touches the visible area. The last point it touches the visible area is the answer. See? Now what is your confusion? Nothing. So let me show you again. This is this line. Come on, screen. Just scale up. Just scale up. See? Okay. Just scale up, and see the last point it touches the visible area, and that's B. So the last point the ISO line touches in the visible area is your optimum point, is your answer, is your optimum point, and that's B. Because you can't go ahead visible area. Visible area is your boundary. Every country has its own boundary, right? Every country has its own boundary. What you call borders, right? So you can't exceed your border, because you will enter into another country. So that is basically your border only. So just scale up and the last point, but make sure the gradient of the line should not change. The gradient, now the slope I'm talking about. If you are doing like this, like that poor man that I gave you example, like this, no. If you do like this, no, it will change. So there is a situation that you might end up with a wrong point. Okay, so don't become an old man there that your hand is shivering. Okay, right? So just keep it firm, smooth, and just like this. And the last point it touches in your visible area, so that will be your answer. Have you understood this magic? Have you understood this magic? Okay, so I did show you how to do this. Just line will be given to you. Keep scale in front of your computer screens and scale up and see the last point it touches the visible area. Scale up, and this is the answer. So did you like the technique? Is it unique, different? How many of you, for you, this is a new one, the way I just showed you here? Come on, let me see for how many of you this was new one. I'm talking about the PowerPoint presentation, okay? Okay, great. So this is the answer. B is the answer, and we have found out the answer. Though this was given to me here as well, but still, I just told you how to figure out it. Welcome, welcome. It's my honor to explain you people. Welcome. Okay. Now, so that's it. Still, it was given. Now we know. This is why I started with this question. So, see, we covered all the steps without solving anything. This is the best part. Okay. We covered all the steps without solving it. Right. So, thanks to ACCA Pakistan for arranging this webinar. Now, let's move on. Let's see what the requirement one is. Find, do give your feedback to ACCA Pakistan after the session, okay? Did you like this technique or not? Find by appropriate calculation the optimum production mix. What is optimum production mix? That is optimum production plan. What is optimum production plan? That is how many units you need to make for W and how many units you need to make for L. Okay? And this is the same okay? From day one, I'm telling you this related maximum contribution. What will be the contribution that could be earned by the company? And for this, you have to use the objective function. Okay, objective function. Great. Now, the point where the answer is point B. This is point B, right? Now, we know the optimum point, but now they are asking us to find out the answer. So let's find out the answer now. Just look here at this point B. What are the two lines that are intersecting with each other? So it's the line of Taylor intersecting with the line of fabric. Taylor with fabric, right? Okay. So let's go to the equations. The equation of Taylor is 7W plus 5L is less or equal to 3500, whereas 2W plus 2L is less or equal to 1200. So let's write here Taylor okay, and fabric. Okay, so these are the two lines that are intersecting here. This is known as point of intersection. And whenever there is a point of intersection, you can find out the answer by using either of one method. The first method is known as elimination method, and second is known as substitution method. Both are mathematical methods, so I think that's not a big deal. Elimination or substitution. Okay, So I'll be using here elimination method, and we'll tell you how to find out the answer through elimination method. So let's do a quick mathematical working here. In elimination method, there are two things to ensure. There are different methods. There are different techniques of eliminating as well. But let me tell you the easiest one so that everybody can understand. Elimination method includes, if you want to eliminate, you know what is eliminate, right? If you want to eliminate, so elimination will be done when the figure will be same and the sign will be opposite. Figure will be same and the sign will be opposite. If figure is same and the signs are opposite, then elimination works. So either you want to eliminate W or L. The figure of both should be same and the sign should be opposite. So right now, both the things are not here. You can see I want to eliminate L. It could be W as well. Okay, let's see. I want to eliminate L. So the figure of L is 5 and 2. It's not same, and the sign of these two is positive. So that's also not the case. So now I need to do something that the figure becomes same and the sign becomes opposite. So the best way to do is this, what I'm doing. Now I want to eliminate L, right? So what I'm going to do is 7W plus 5L is equals to 3500. This is equation 1. Now I'll do a very simple thing, and that is I'll use the value of L, which is 5, and I'll use the value of L equation 1 and L equation 2. Now the value of L, which is in equation 2, that is this 2, I'll use this and multiply with equation 1. It's the opposite multiplication of that value. Okay. The value of L in equation 2, I multiplied this with equation 1. And now the value of L in equation 1, that's 5, right? So I'll multiply this 5 with equation 2. Okay. Agreed? Right? So what's the plan? The plan is simple. Quickly just listen. The plan is simple. The plan is the value that I have of L in equation 1. I'll multiply that value with equation 2, complete equation 2, and the value that I have in equation 2 of L, I'll multiply that value with complete equation 1. That's okay. And as I want to make the opposite signs as well, so I can at my own discretion, I can either use negative value here or negative value here. It's up to me, either with 2 or either with 5. So what I'll do here, I'll just use negative value with 5 here. Okay, and let's solve further. So let's solve equation 1. 14W plus 10L is equals to 7,000. Perfect. Equation 2, negative 10W negative 10L is equals to 6,000 negative. Righto? Is this clear to everybody? All my friends are listening to me? Rizwan Mania is your friend, okay? Not a teacher. So I want to help you to the last day and I'll do it. Just be with me through the WhatsApp groups. Okay, so now let's eliminate. Are the conditions done? Yeah, both same and the signs are opposite. See, signs are opposite and both same. So elimination done. Let's further simplify. Eliminate it. So you're left with 4W is equals to 1000. W is equals to 250. Perfect. Perfect. Everything is going good. So W is 250, right, everybody? W is 250, and we are done with the value of W. Elimination method done. I'm sure this is clear to those who were still confused in this one. This is how the elimination is done. Now, if I need the value of L, so that's so easy. Because you have the value of W in hand now, so you can input this value in either of the equations you want to. Either you input here or you input in this one, and you will get the value of W as well. Sorry, I beg your pardon, L as well. So let's do this as well. Okay, I'll take this equation. And what's that? 7. So instead of W, I can write 250. Yeah, that's okay. Plus 5. L is what I need to find out, is equals to 3,500. Right? This is the right equation I'm choosing here. Yeah. Okay. Here you go. Right. Now, let's solve further. I think you can now solve easily for L. So if you solve this for L, what answer are we getting, everyone? Can any one of you tell me very, very quickly? I think it's 350 if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it's 350. So the answer of L is 350. The answer of W is 250. Yeah, like a normal text. Yeah, like a normal text. Nothing more than that. Yeah, like a normal text. Okay. In spreadsheet as well, like a normal text. Yeah, because there's nothing formula stuff like that. Yeah, but for calculations that you are doing the multiplication, and that you have to show in the cell. That's obvious, right? Okay, so done with this one. And the final answer at point B is clear to me now. So what is the answer at this point? The answer is pretty much clear. We'll be making 250W and 350L. 250W and 350L. Right? So done with part B. Sorry, done with this point. Now, this is what I can say as optimum production plan. This is my optimum production plan. 250W, 350L. Okay? So this is my optimum production plan. Now, the second requirement is what? The maximum contribution. Hello, work out the maximum contribution. How will I do this? I need to go to objective function. Yeah. Objective function. This is my objective function. And let's input here 48. How many W's are we making? 250, right? Plus 40. How many L's? 350. What is the answer? So let's work out. It's 48 into 250 plus 40 into 350. It's 26,000 if I'm not wrong. Yeah, dead right. 26,000 is the maximum contribution. Maximum contribution. Priyanka, I was just telling you that through, okay, you're not clear about this. This shows that you're not clear about the concepts, Priyanka. First of all, that you need to find out is the point where the answer is. It's A, B, C, D, whatever it is. So for that, there are two methods, ISO and simultaneous equation method or inspection method. So if you use simultaneous equation method, so in that case, what you would have done that for A, first you will solve point A simultaneously, point B, point C, point D. So your working would have become so long that for all the 4 points, first you have to solve that simultaneously and then find out the best point, highest contribution point. But through ISO, what happens is that you automatically get to know that out of the 4, which is the maximum point, and that's B. So you just restrict yourself, your workings of simultaneous equation to B then only. You don't have to inspect. That's why I say inspection method. So I don't have to inspect A, C, and D in that case. So that's the beauty of ISO contribution line. Okay, Priyanka? If there are no constraints, so there will be no limiting factors, so they don't have to go for linear programming. Okay. Mohammed Nawaz, then we have to find out that, okay, and that is a different story, which right now I cannot cover, but yeah, you then need to find out the ISO line. Okay, but I expect in CB, if graph is given, there are chances, but still, it's not a guarantee that ISO line will always be given to you. No, for spreadsheets, you have to solve on Excel. That's important. For section B, okay, that's fine. But for C, you have to solve this on the spreadsheet. You have to do this calculative stuff on spreadsheet, not using calculators. But since the day it became CBE, and there are 2 questions that have been tested after that. One was Kara company and second was CSC company. Both the questions came on spreadsheet with no amount of calculation. That's was the best part. So I expect that examiner now feels that, okay, maybe spreadsheet, linear programming, people might struggle. So maybe since last 2 times I've seen that theory has been tested. So let's assume that let's expect that theory will be tested again. Anyways, are we done with this one, guys? I think we are, and it's pretty much clear that how I did the calculations. So now let's move ahead. We did find out this optimum production plan and the maximum contribution of 26,000. Okay, so this is the best contribution that I found out here. Okay, everybody. Amrita Kumari, your question was about spreadsheet. I did mention that, yeah, in that case, you need to solve using the spreadsheet. Okay, if the inequalities are of greater, like it's like this, okay, so for any line, if it is greater, okay, so in that case, the feasible area for that particular line will be above the line, okay. If it is less than, so it's normally below the line, and if it is greater or equals to, so it's above the line. Okay, Amrita. What was L? It's a product here. Okay, if all are of greater sign, that will not be possible, because in that case the feasible area will go somewhere here and we can't find out the answer. So it will be a combination of some being greater and some being less than, so some middle way would be the answer of the feasible area. Okay. Amrita, I did answer your question right now. Please just focus. I'm saying that it is not possible that all the inequalities will be of greater than, because you can't find out the answer then. So it will be a combination of these two. That's the most expected thing. Okay. Uh, No, Priyanka, you're not right about this. Farthest away will not be basically the thing here. In that case, no, it's not that you are thinking. For contribution, profit maximization, remember always that the closest point always will be the feasible area. Okay, but it all depends on the ISO line, how you scale up that. So just keep it simple. Scale up the last point it touches the feasible area will be the answer. It can come in section C, but since it has become CBE, up till now, it has always been tested for theory in section C. You can even eliminate W as well. It's not compulsory that you eliminate L only. Okay? And I can seriously see your concerns in this area, but due to my limited time, the max I can do, I'm doing it, but I can seriously see concerns where you still are lacking. Anyways, now let's move on. Calculate the shadow price here. So calculate the shadow price of fabric per meter and tailor per hour, right? 6 marks. So shadow price, what is shadow price? So shadow price, here I am. Okay. Now, what is a shadow price? Additional contribution earned if one extra unit of scarce resource becomes available at its original cost. Original cost. Okay. Okay. Shadow price. What is shadow price? People are really afraid. Shadow price. Oh man, it's nothing. Have you heard about the word contribution? Yes. Have you heard about the word additional? Yes. So additional contribution. By getting one more hour of labor, by getting one more meter of fabric, by getting one more kg of material is shadow price. Simple. One more hour of labor, one more meter of fabric, one more kg of material. If you get one more of something, the additional contribution that you will earn is shadow price. But the resource should be scarce resource, which means the resource which is scarce, which means not very easily available. Okay? Okay. Now, what are we supposed to do? Now, what are we supposed to do? It's interesting, but I'll just try to make it easier. Now, listen, let's use my $1,000,000 technique here. Let's see what $1,000,000 says. $1,000,000 says shadow price of a very key word, resource. Now, resource is what? Fabric. Yeah, it's a resource. Tailor, it's a resource. And you do remember as well that I did mention in the question that there were three inequalities, if I'm not wrong. One is of tailor, which is resource. One is of fabric, which is a resource. And one is of demand, which is not a resource. So it says shadow price of a resource, which means shadow price will be worked out for a resource. Shadow price will be worked out for a resource. That could be material, that could be labor, that could be machine, for a resource only. Okay? Okay. So now, lines where optimum answer falls, and if that is a resource line, you will calculate shadow price. I have made this problem the most easiest now. Carefully listen what I'll do. I'll make you doctor here. You'll do a PhD in linear programming now. Remember my words. Remember Rizman Mania's key lines. These will help you in your examination when you're sitting there, when you're thinking what to do. These lines will come in your mind, inshallah. And what are the lines? You have a graph. Where is the graph? Yeah, here is a graph. You have a graph You know the optimum point. This is B, right? You know the optimum point. Now, listen. Just look the lines where optimum answer is. Those lines, if those are resource lines, for sure, you will work out the shadow price. It's my guarantee. Just note it down. It's my guarantee. So lines where you see the optimum answer exist, and if those lines are resource lines, shadow price will be worked out. So just have a look here. The point optimum is B, and the two lines that you can see here is of Taylor and fabric. Are both resource? Yes, both are resource. And if both are resource, yes, you will work out the shadow price. You will work out the shadow price. Okay? Okay. So that's fine. So let's go back to the question and see what is written. The question says, calculate the shadow price for fabric, Taylor. Oh, both are resources. And the optimum answer is also on these two lines. And these are resource lines. So the question is asking me to work out shadow price for the resource, fabric, and Taylor. And I would say, fortunately, the answer is also at these lines. So these are known as resource lines, and you will work out shadow price. Okay, got it, everybody? Is this clear? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine, Rizwan Mane. That's fine. Okay, now, so we will work out the shadow price. Okay, now, just let me ask you a question quickly here. Do you want to know why we'll calculate shadow price on these lines? Do you want to know the reason why, or it's okay, I should move ahead? Come on. Do you want to know why, or I should move ahead? Okay, let me tell you why. You want to know? Let me tell you why. This means you don't know. See, let me tell you why. I'll just use one example. Taylor equation, do you remember? What was the Taylor equation? The Taylor equation was 7W plus 5L, 3,500 hours you had, right? Okay. Okay, let me tell you why are we calculating shadow price here. See, what is your optimum plan? What was your final decision? That you will make 250W and you will make 350L. Was that your decision? Say yes or no. Yes, obviously, sir, that's our decision. That's our decision. Now, if you will make 250W and every W consumes 7 hours of labor, and if you make 350L and each L consumes 5 hours of labor, can you do a quick math here? How many hours will you consume? How many hours will you consume? A quick math. 3,500. Oh, so the available hours were 3,500 and we will use complete 3,500. That's scarcity. That's the scarce resource. That's the scarcity. That whatever you had in your hand, you did use the entire hours, which means 100% utilization of resource. 100% utilization of a resource. Sir, will that be the case every time whenever optimum answer falls on a resource line? Every time will be the case? Yes, yes, yes. I challenge you. Whether it's a fabric line, whether it's a tailor line, remember my words. Remember my words that whenever you see optimum point falling on a resource line, that resource will be 100% utilized. Will be 100% utilized. And if that resource is 100% utilized, then there is a need, then there is scarcity, then there is a need to get more resource, to get more labor hours, to get more material, because you will utilize completely. And when you need more, that is the point you work out shadow price. Shadow price. I hope I've made this really clear to you people, right? So now, whether it's labor, it's fabric, both you can see on the optimum point. Both consumption will be 100%. Come on, thumbs up. Are you getting my point? Is it becoming easier and easier and easier for you people? Guys, come on, tell me. What's your feedback? Are you happy? Yeah, that can be applied for Slack as well. Yeah. Great. So now, is the basis clear? Why do we work out shadow price? Because the the utilization of a resource is 100%. So remember, whenever you see the graph, you see the lines. You see where the optimum point falls. So if that is a resource line, no doubt you will work out shadow price. It's time for another break. It's 10:30. So start the break at 10:30. To retain this concept in your mind, we'll resume at 10:35 and we'll start with the calculation of shadow price. See you. Okay, so welcome back after this another break. Now, I think this is clear to all of you that how you're gonna uh, decide for shadow price, and the decision of shadow price is pretty much clear now. So you need to remember line where optimum answer falls is basically if it is a resource line, the consumption of resource will be 100%, right? And that's for sure. You don't have to check in the paper as well. Okay, that is totally acceptable to check. Now let's work out the shadow price. So the fabric uh, is 2W plus 2L is equals to 1200, right? So how to work out the calculation of this, what you say, shadow price? So for that, what I'm going to do is, uh, because I need to work out for both, right? Because I need to work out for both. So in that case, obviously, I need to do calculation one by one. Okay, so let's do it. Uh, how to work out shadow price? Let's first work out for Taylor. Okay, per hour. And you know consumption is 100%. You don't have any extra here, right? For WhatsApp group, I've already mentioned. If you're not part of my group, please, this is my number. Just send me a quick WhatsApp message. I'll add you after the session. Okay. Okay. Now for shadow price for Taylor, I made small steps. If you want to remember, that's okay. If you don't want to, that's okay. But it's a systematic approach that I've made. Identify optimum point. So I know that is B, and the two equations that are intersecting is Taylor, which is 7W plus 5L is equals to 3500 hours, right? And the second is fabric, which is 5W plus, no, it's not 5W, I beg your pardon. It's 2W plus 2L is equals to 1200 meters, right? So this is your first step if you want to treat this as a step. Okay. Now it says increase the resource by one. First of all, why to increase? So I've already made up the mind that your resource is 100% utilized. You need further one. You need further one. Okay. So why only one? Because let's keep it more simple, because one is easy to understand. So that's why we say increase the resource by one. So let's do it first of all. Then I'll further clarify why one. So it's 7W plus 5L is equals to 3501 hours, which means already you had 3500. So it will increase by one. So that's 3501. And you will not change anything for fabric, okay? Because you're working out shadow price for Taylor. So that's same. Now recalculate coordinates. Again, that same simultaneous equation stuff. So let's remove L from both the equations. And I did mention the way. So let's use that way. I want to remove L, so multiply it with 2. I want to remove L, so I'll multiply this 5 and we'll make this negative, okay? So let's solve this equation number 1 first. So that is 14W plus 10L is equals to 7002. Okay, that's 7002. So if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So that's it. Second, negative 10W negative 10L is equals to 6000. Just eliminate. Let's further solve it. It's 4W is equals to, this is also negative, right? So it's 1002. So W is equals to 250.5. So do take care decimals, okay? Do take care of decimals. That's important. So it's 250.5 for W, and you can do a quick working for L as well. As I mentioned that if you have the answer of W, so you can quickly input into any one of the equations, either Taylor or Fabric, to find out L. So if anybody can help me here, what is the value of L? Yes, please. Okay, if feasible region, uh, if the optimum point where you see one is a resource and one is a demand line, so you will only work out shadow price for the resource one and not for the demand line. Okay. So yeah, please, it's 250.5 into 7 minus 3501 divided by 5, and it's 349.5. So the value of L is 349.5. So here you have new coordinates. Obviously, it's a common sense stuff. If 1 hour is available, if one further hour gets available, right? If further 1 hour gets available, are you getting the point? So would your plan change? Obviously, your plan will change. Now you will be making obviously more number of units, right? Your plan will change. So this is a revised plan, revised coordinates here. Okay. So this is your revised coordinates. Now it says calculate revised contribution. Do you remember the old contribution? Yeah, that was 26,000 if I'm not wrong. That we found out from the first part. Revised contribution, okay. Objective function 48W plus 40L, okay. And the answer is, can any one of you please tell me? I don't know why people are not participating today. Is the topic difficult or you are not in a mood to participate? It's 26,004. Okay. So common sense stuff. When you didn't had the additional 1 hour, your contribution was 26,000. And when you have one additional hour, so your contribution went up to 26,004. So by how much amount your contribution increased? I would say I can say this additional contribution. Your additional contribution is by how much amount? It's by 4. And this is what? This is additional contribution per hour of labor that made available. Okay. If one more hour of labor is available, and if you are able to get one more hour of labor, so the additional contribution that you are earning because of that is 4. And that is known as shadow price. Simple as you know, it's a very simple thing. One additional hour becomes available and the additional contribution is 4 bara. That's perfect. Perfect. Okay. So I hope this is clear. It's 4 your shadow price. And why you want one more? I did mention earlier why you want one more. It's because 100% utilization will be there, right? So that's why we need more. So this is how we gauge actually that how much we need more. So if I can get one more hour, I can earn further contribution of $4. That's okay for everybody, right? Now, are we supposed to work out the shadow price for fabric per meter as well? Yes or no? Yeah, obviously. We are supposed to work out for fabric per meter as well. So if we are required to work out for fabric per meter, then what we need to do? Come on, can anyone you tell me quickly? Then what we need to do? Please quickly, can you tell me? Then what we need to do? Yeah, I'm coming to section C. Please just hold on. Please just wait. Yeah, what we need to do? If I will do, I need to work out. So first of all, do you think we need to work out shadow price for fabric? First of all, do you think we need to work out? Yes, because the optimum answer is at the line of fabric. And if it is, so the fabric utilization will be 100%. Okay. So what will be the difference in calculation? Now, I'm just removing this stuff that I've done in front of you, just to give you the idea that how you're going to work out the shadow price for this fabric. Okay. Okay. Now, this will again, first of all, if this is for fabric, so this will be 3500, but here you will make this 1201. Fine. 1201. Right? Everything will be same, but this will be 1201. Right? Same process. Everything is same. This will be 7000 and this will be 6005. Okay? Everything is same. Getting the point, everybody? Right? So similar working will be done. Here you will have 995 and what's that? 7000 minus 605 divided by 4. So the answer will be 248.75. So make sure you do write all proper decimals, okay, for shadow price. And if anybody can tell me the answer of L in this case, any quick calculation person here? Or I need to work out by myself? So you are saying, sir, do your own calculations. Don't disturb me or don't disturb us. Okay, I'll not disturb you. Okay, so the answer is 351.75. Right? Done? So 248.75, 351.75, it's 26,010. Is that true, everybody? Perfect. So the answer is 10 per meter. Got it, everybody? Now, let's assume certain two situations. What if so what if one of the lines at the optimum point is of a resource and one is of demand? That is equally possible. So remember, you will only work out shadow price for the resource one, okay, not for the demand one. So that's fine. That's done. We are done with this part. I hope no issues. I hope the calculations are simple the way I just explained to you. Now coming towards the theoretical part here. Uh, let's quickly write the Taylor shadow price that we worked out was 4 per hour. Okay, this is your additional contribution, right? If 1 hour becomes available, you will get additional 4 contribution. Now, the tailors have offered to work an extra 500 hours in this way because you don't have further hours for tailor, right? So tailors have agreed to work for extra 500 hours, which means overtime. You are calling them for overtime, right? That they are paid 3 times their normal rate of 1.5 at 4.5, right? Priyanka, how this is possible that your answer is coming below 26,000? That's not at all possible. You've done something wrong, okay? So, uh, tailors are have agreed that they'll work 500 hours, okay? But they provided that they are paid 3 times their normal rate, which means the current rate that they are getting is 1.5, and if they get 4.5, then they'll work overtime because the current hours are done, right? Current hours are done. Briefly discuss examinable verb whether object CS should accept the offer of overtime at 3 times than the normal rate. Now, it's theory how to handle this. It's simple. I'll take next 7-8 minutes to explain this. It's not difficult, so be with me. We'll make it really easy for you. Now, the current hours 3,500 are, will be completely utilized. You know the reason behind that. So now what's the game? The game is whether we should allow them to work additional 500 hours overtime or not. And for that, they are charging 3 times than the normal pay. And normal pay is 1.5, right? So how will you assess the situation? How will you assess the situation here? So let me tell you. The labor offer. Let's assess the labor offer. Labor is saying my basic wage is 1.5 plus I'll take a premium of 3, and that will be my overtime pay, which is 4.5, which is 3 times the normal pay. This is what labor is asking you for, right? Now you, on the other hand, have to decide whether you will accept this offer or not. So let's consider the company's point of view. Now you are in the board of directors, and now what you will do? You said, okay, for basic pay, I'm fine. I have no issues. That's basic pay. So I need to pay the basic pay if I'm calling you on weekends, that is Saturdays or Sundays. The thing that is bothering you is the premium. I agree that you need to pay premium as well, because if you're calling them on weekends, so you need to pay overtime premium, right? But the concerning point is 3 premium justified or not? 3 premium justified or not? That's the point. That's the issue. The issue is not for the basic pay. That's okay. But the issue is 3 premium is justified or not. That's the point. That's the issue. So what you're going to do is you will compare this premium with your shadow price. You'll compare this with your shadow price. Okay? That is what you'll see here. Listen, you don't have any issue for basic pay. That's normal. What you'll see is if I ask labor to give me 1 more additional hour, so that 1 more additional labor hour will give me an earning of 4 per hour. Okay, that's okay. 4 per hour. And what will be my additional cost for that 1 hour? Okay, now I'm asking you, what will be the additional cost for that 1 hour? Is the cost 4.5? Come on, tell me, everybody. Is the cost 1.5? Is the cost 3? Let me see the answers. What will be the additional cost that you will compare with the shadow price? I repeat, what will be the additional cost that you will compare with the shadow price? 4.5, 1.5 or 3? So it's really nice to see that majority is saying 3. That's good. That's good. Yes, you will compare this with the additional cost of the premium, right? You will compare this with the additional cost of the premium only. Because this 4 is what? This 4 is additional contribution. Okay? And you all know how do we work out contribution, friends? If I ask you how you work out contribution, so you will say selling price minus material cost minus labor cost is equals to contribution. Agreed? So this labor cost, which is the basic wage, basic wage has already been deducted from this contribution. Yes or no? Yes, because this contribution of 48W and 40L basically did include the basic wage. Yes, because this 48 and 40 was worked out by deducting the basic wage of labor, and then you got this figure of 48 and 40. Do you agree with me on this point, everybody? This means the basic wage has already been deducted from the contribution figures. So now you will not consider this as your cost because this 4 shadow price is your additional contribution, and this already deducted the impact of the basic cost, basic wage. That's why this 4 is after the basic wage. I repeat, this 4 is after. You agree? This is after the basic wage. So that's why we compare this additional contribution with additional cost of premium. And then you take a decision. So it's a worth it deal or not? Yes, because you are getting the net benefit of 1 per hour. You are getting the net benefit of 1 per hour. The additional cost of the 1 hour is 3, that is the premium. And the additional contribution that you are earning after the basic wage is 4. So 4 is the benefit, 3 is the cost, 1 is what you are getting additionally. And this is why people now will understand what is the importance of shadow price. This is why you calculate shadow price, so that you can take decision. This is why the topic is decision making. And this is what you take the decision that, okay, should we agree to the offer or not? Okay? Should we agree to this offer or not? So this is the decision making that you do using shadow price. Now, if I ask you, how much maximum can you pay to the labor? Premium. How much maximum premium you can pay to the labor? Maximum. Can you tell me the answer? The maximum premium that you can pay to the labor is equals to your shadow price. Maximum. If it's really important for you to complete the production because you have done a commitment with the government or someone else and you are completely stuck in the situation, the maximum you can pay is equals to your shadow price, 4. You can't exceed your premium more than 4 because if you do, my friends, then you will end up in a loss. So as a manager of the organization, this shadow price will help you in negotiation with the labor. As a management, this helps you to take decision, okay, should I agree to this premium? Because he will take premium. You can't run away from premium. They will charge you premium. So you can take decision, okay, yes, should I go for premium or not? And how much premium I should pay? So this is how you take a decision, by comparing with the shadow price. Do you all like my explanation? Did I made this easy and clear for all of you conceptually? Okay. So the calculation is pretty much simple. As I mentioned, that this 4 shadow price is additional contribution, and this is after deducting the basic wage, because any contribution calculation in the world includes what? Selling price minus variable cost and minus the basic cost of the labor. So this 1.5 has already been deducted, and after that you are getting this contribution, right? Because contribution excludes the cost of material and labor. I would say it's already deducted. So then you're just left with on two things: to compare this additional contribution with the premium, the additional cost, because premium is not part of this contribution stuff, right? And this premium will only be paid if you go for that extra hours. So for taking the decision, what you do, you consider the shadow price with the premium. Shadow price, additional contribution with the additional cost of premium, and you take a decision. Okay, so let me tell you certain drafting points here which you have to use and write in form of a paragraph. Okay, you can't show this all working. This was just for your own explanation right now. You have to draft in form of a paragraph, and the key bullets are what? That is, first you will write that, okay, first you will write about the details, that labor offer is what? That labor is asking you for basic wage of 1.5 plus 3 premium. Okay, altogether is asking for 4.5. This will you will write in form of paragraph. Then you will say, okay, from company's point of view, what's the situation is that company will be okay with this 1.5, but company will compare this 4 shadow price, okay, with this 3 premium. Okay, and the net saving that company is getting is 1. Okay, this means from company point of view, the offer is acceptable. I'm just telling you bullets. You have to draft this in a form of paragraph. From company's point of view, the offer is acceptable because the company is getting $1 saving, but still you have to write one thing, that company should negotiate. Okay, company should negotiate on the premium and try to make it more lower and lower, because it's a bit high premium. Okay, normally it's time and a half, I would say. Okay, time and a half, that seems okay, but it's too much. It's too much, right? So this is what you have to write here, and this you will be writing in form of a paragraph. Happy? Happy with my explanation? So for this discussion, this is the right approach in form of a paragraph. I think I've sorted a lot of things for linear programming today. Okay, great. And this time I completely did what you told me on the WhatsApp group to do. Great. Thank you very much for your quick feedbacks. So the basic key point to remember before I move towards the next topic, whenever you see a graph, just find out where the optimum point is and just look that at this optimum point, are there any resource lines? So if there are any resource line, for sure, remember, you will work out the shadow price because resource will be 100% utilized. What is your question, Alicia Danielle? I am mentioning this shadow price will only be worked out for those resource line on which the answer falls, and not for others. You know why? Because the other lines, all the other lines where optimum answer doesn't fall, that will not be completely utilized. On all those other lines where optimum answer doesn't fall, even that is a resource line. So in that case, that resource will not be 100% utilized because there will be a slack there. Okay, so remember, lines where optimum answer doesn't falls, lines where optimum answer doesn't falls, okay, optimum answer doesn't falls, okay, whether it's a resource or a demand based line, whether it's a resource or a demand based line, lines where optimum answer doesn't falls, $1,000,000 point says you don't have to work out shadow price there because there is slack. And what is slack? Slack means underutilization. So lines where optimum answer doesn't fall, you will not work out shadow price because there is slack. And what is slack? Underutilization, which means your resource is not completely utilized. Your resource is not completely utilized. And if it is not completely utilized, how will you go for additional resource? How will you go for further resource if there is a slack? Because slack is underutilization. So let me repeat this for the last time. If answer lines on which the answer doesn't falls, it's a resource line. Remember, no shadow price will be worked out because the utilization will not be 100%. That you can check by yourself, as I did earlier for the resource line that was of Taylor. So utilization will not be 100%, and if there is no utilization, if there is no 100% utilization, this means there is a slack. Slack is underutilization, which means you don't have to go for one additional resource as your current resources are not completely utilized. So why you'll go for one additional resource and work out shadow price? Abdul Qadir, this is what I'm telling you. Why will you buy more if you don't have, if your current is left? Okay. So guys, I'm sure this is done for linear programming. Remember these $1,000,000 tips. Lines where optimum answer falls, and if there is a resource line, you will work out shadow price. Fine, because utilization is 100%. You need one more. Lines where optimum answer does not falls, you will not work out shadow price even for the resource line, just because that resource will not be completely utilized. There is a slack, there is unutilization of the resource, and if there is unutilization, if there is underutilization, why you will go for further resource? Okay, because your current resource is not fully utilized, so you will not work out shadow price, and there is a slack, which is underutilization. I hope I made this easy for you to understand. I've made this easier for you to grip linear programming. What's your quick feedback, my friends? Are you happy? Is everything going perfect? Yeah? Is your problem solved? So do give ACCA Pakistan your feedback about how satisfied you are with this webinar right now. Okay? Michael, why are you smiling? Okay, let's move on towards the next area of pricing. Certain important things I need to tell before I move towards the section B question of pricing. Pricing important areas to cover is price skimming strategy, price penetration strategy. Quick one, skimming means you charge high prices at the initial phase. Okay, you charge high prices at the initial phase. Okay, so do learn these conditions in the paper. Conditions when you go for skimming. Conditions when you go for skimming, when you charge high prices, do remember these conditions. Penetration means you charge low prices at the initial phase. You charge low prices at the initial phase. Okay, so in that case, do learn these conditions as well, because you might be asked in the examination, you might be asked to decide in the examination whether to go for skimming or to go for penetration. So if you do learn these conditions, then you can apply the conditions in the scenario, apply the condition in the case study, and give your decision that penetration is good or skim is good. Okay, now coming towards the pricing approaches, this is the economist view. How to find out the best optimum price. How to find out the best optimum price. Okay, so how to find out the best optimum price, which means the price where your profit is maximized. So how to find out the best optimum price? Price where your profit is maximized. So there are two approaches to this. One is the algebraic approach to find out this. Algebraic approach, which is MC is equal to MR. I did cover this in the last webinar. So I'll share this in the $1,000,000 plan. Okay, algebraic approach I did cover in the last webinar, so you can quickly just watch that and cover up this area. And second is tabular approach, and this is what I'm covering it right now in the remaining minutes. Okay, so we need to find out the price at which the profit will be maximized. Okay, the best price. So let's start with tabular approach. Okay, so this is a section B question. Remember, section B needs to be completed within 18 minutes. The max you can take is 18 minutes. Actively read the scenario based on the requirements. You need to remember the OTs that are tested. You need to link those with the scenario. That's very, 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 very important. Okay. For fill in the blank questions, remember rounding of instructions are important. You might do everything correct, but if you don't know the proper rounding of principles, you may do it wrong and you will lose complete 2 marks. Okay, so yes, tip of the day is this one. Now let's see. Jewel company setting up an online business, importing and selling jewelry, headphones. Okay, the cost of each headphone varies depending on the number of purchased. Okay, it varies. Although they can only be purchased in batches of 1,000 units. So you can only purchase the jewelry in batches. Okay, it also has to pay import taxes, which vary according to the quantity purchased. Right? Now, Jewelco has already carried out some market research and identified that sales quantities are expected to vary depending on the price charged, right? Consequently, the following data has been established for the first month, where you can see here, based on the number of batches, if you go for one batch, so each batch is of 1,000 units, right? It's mentioned here. So this means 1,000 units. If you go for two batches, you are buying 2,000 units. If you're going for 3 batches, it's 3,000 units. If you're going for 4 batches, it's 4,000 units. And if you're going for 5 batches, it's 5,000 units, right? So 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and 5,000. Your average cost per unit, including import taxes, varies according to the batch size. As your batch size is increasing, your cost of import taxes is going down. Okay, your fixed cost remains constant at the first 2 batches, and then there is a step up, and then it becomes constant, and then again it's a step up. Whereas your selling prices are going down if you want to sell more number of batches. As you increase the quantity of your sales, so your price is going down. Okay, fixed cost relates to setup. Now that's okay. Let's go towards the first question. Now this is the instruction of rounding off that really worries me. Okay, nearest whole batch, nearest whole number. How many batches should Jewel import and sell? Nearest whole batches. Fill in the blank. Now, as I mentioned, that there are two approaches to this. One is tabular approach, one is algebraic approach. Algebraic will only be used when it's mentioned in the question, first of all. Secondly, you will be given hint of demand or price function. When you will be given hint of demand or price function. Like for example, $5 decrease in price will increase the quantity by 1,000. Some kind of hint relating to this means that you have to work out the demand function. And what is demand function? You know, it's price equals to A minus BQ. Okay, and this is important for algebraic approach, so you can cover that through the previous webinar as well. So it's P is equals to A minus BQ. So nothing in as to this is given. Actually, this is a relationship between price and demand. Okay, so when there is a relationship between price and demand given, so you go for algebraic approach. But no such relationship between price and demand is required in tabular approach. Okay, so nothing is mentioned here, so I'm going for tabular approach. This is the only option I have. I'll solve this through tabular approach. And now what I'll do here, everybody listen, those who are giving remote exams, now can you tell me how many of you are giving remote exams? Can you raise your hands? Those who are giving remote exams, they need to use Scratchpad. Okay, because if you're giving remote exams at your home, you will not be allowed to use rough papers, so you have to use Scratchpad for section B and A. So I'm using Scratchpad here purposefully to teach you how to use Scratchpad for section A and section B. Okay, Scratchpad, because those who are giving remote exams, they will not be given with what? Rough papers. I think electronic calculator is not that much useful. Okay, leave it. You can use your own scientific, that's okay. But Scratchpad is compulsory then for section A, B for remote exams. So I'm using this for section B, and I just tell you what rough workings are we supposed to do, because you don't have any exam, you don't have any paper there. Okay, for remote people I'm talking about. So see what you're going to do. Tabular approach, right? I need to work out what? First of all, it's all rough working. Scratchpad will not be marked. Scratchpad will not be marked. Whatever rubbish you write doesn't matter. Okay. So now, so let's quickly do rough thing. Batch, units. Okay. Revenue. Cost, fixed cost, and profit. Okay. And you can make it more and more, rough as you want to. Batch 1, batch 2, batch 3, batch 4. So batch 1 means how many units? 1,000. Batch 2 means 2,000. Batch 3 means 3,000. Rough workings, rough workings. Batch 4 means 4,000. You don't have any paper. And you multiply this with the selling prices. So price is 20. Okay, 20. So then you can use your scientific calculator, not the electronic one. Okay, so that is 20,000. Now second, you don't have to write. If you can keep in your mind, that's okay. 18. You can do working like this as well. 2,000 into 18, so that's 36,000. Rough workings, you're noting it down. Third, it's 16 into 3000. That's 48. Okay, that's 48. Number 4, 4000 into 13, if I'm not wrong. That's 52,000. And that's one more here, 5 batches. Okay, so that's 5 batches. Now it's all rough working, so doesn't matter the way you do it. 12 into 5,000, that's 60. Okay, done. Now coming towards the cost, let's see what cost we have. No need for these spaces as well. I think this is wasting my time. This is wasting your time. So no need for these spaces as well. Just kill the spaces. No need for anything stuff like this that wastes time. Okay, it's because it's all rough thing that you're doing. So for cost, what options you have? It's 10, 8, right? So using a calculator, 1000 into 10, 10,000. Okay, 10,000. Second, 2000 into 8.8. Yeah, this is taking time. You need to practice at home because this can have an impact on examination time management. Okay, this is definitely taking time. That's what I want to show you here. It requires practice. If you will not practice in paper, this will definitely waste your time because you will not have any rough paper in remote case. Okay, so that's 32,000. See, things like these will happen. Fixed cost is same, right? It's 10,000 in all the cases, so I know that. So let's forget it. Let's do the workings. 20,000 minus 10 minus 10, 0 profit. Second, 36 minus 17,500 minus 10. It's 8,400. Now remember the fixed costs will change, okay? You know the fixed cost will change. It's 12 now for the next two. So yeah, 48 minus 23,400 minus 12, 12,600. See, this is taking my time. 52,000, 25,600 minus 12,000. It's 14,400. Last, 60,000 minus 32,000 minus 14,000. So the answer is 14,000, right? Now, which one is the answer? Answer is the one that where you have the highest profit. This is 4,000 units, which means 4 batches. So this is a challenging part that I wanted to explain you here. Is that you will not get rough sheets in remote CBEs. Remote CBEs. This is the bad part. This is the bad part. So those who are giving remote, they need to be thorough in this. Okay, they only use scratch pad. So now it's simple. Revenue minus all costs, 4,000 units, which means how many batches? 4 batches is the answer. And I did use purposefully scratchpad to explain you this is how we need to handle scratchpad. This is a rough area, will not be marked. Whatever you write it, examiner is not interested, though this will be saved but will not be marked by the examiner. So you have to live with this now. You don't have any option for remote, right? And the answer is 4 batches. Okay, 4 batches. I can't request ACCA. The rest you can solve by yourself then. It's not very difficult. I can't request ACCA, to be honest, because there is a chance of you know, there is an element of cheating, right? If you are at your home, if ACCA allows you to use the rough paper, so you might cheat, might be there is a chance of cheating, right? That's why they will not allow you. Yeah, it's a good option for section B calculations. I would say you can use section C spreadsheet. That's workable for me. For section B calculations, you can use section C spreadsheet and just remove the workings from there. That's it. That will save much time. That's examination technique, I would say. Yeah, Priyanka, you're right. I do recommend my students as well, but they don't agree with me. If you have to do section B calculation, use spreadsheet of section C and just remove the calculations from there. That's it. It will save a lot of time. Okay. Anyways, so this is done. Tabular approach. Now, one question I want to answer before I start with the final question and answer session. What is inelastic demand? Inelastic demand means that a small change in inelastic demand means that a change in price results in a very small change in demand. When demand is not very much price sensitive, your you change the price, but it doesn't affected your demand much. That's inelastic demand, and the example is basic commodities. Basic commodity like wheat, sugar. Everybody needs that. Okay. And what is elastic demand? Elastic demand means that a change in price results in a big change in demand. Big change in demand. Demand is very responsive to price. And that's for the luxury items like expensive cars and things like that, where a increase in price results in a big change in demand. That's elastic demand. Okay, great. Okay, as for the workings scratchpad, I think I cannot. Let me try it, but I don't think I'll be able to do this right now because there's some other issue. Let me just try if I can make it a bit more. Yeah, this is how it is, but I know it's disturbing the alignment as well. Okay, is it visible? I think it's perfect now. Yeah. So getting the point, everyone. The way to use Scratchpad is clear as well. The workings are clear. Okay. Happy? Now, let's have a quick 2 minutes question answer session. What do you need to ask? I did cover pricing. I did cover linear programming in a detailed way along with relevant costing as well. And now the $1 million plan will be very important for you people. Okay. Okay. So let's have a quick question answer session. I'll share the important webinar links for relevant costing, CVP analysis, and risk and uncertainty. So stay tuned. If you're not part of the group, just send me a quick WhatsApp message at this number. Okay. Now, this is +92 321 24 36 266. Send me a quick WhatsApp message if you are not still part of the group, right? Tomorrow is performance measurement, the most important area. Performance measurement, the most important area. Okay. I did mention for marginal revenue, marginal cost, you have to watch my previous session webinar. I'll share the link. Notional is an imaginary, artificial, non-cash flow based cost, which is not part of relevant cost. Okay. Simrat Singh, Simar Singh, yeah. Information technology session we'll look at the last day. Yusra, I don't remember what I said about constraints now. Make or buy limiting factor I've covered in the last webinar, so I'll share the link. Make sure you pay ACCA subscriptions till 25th of May. Make sure you pay ACCA subscription till 25th of May. Okay, now, what's your feedback about today's session, everyone? Please, I need your feedbacks. Was the session good? Interesting? The way I just planned out the things, were things good? How you rate the session? Are you satisfied? The things I covered, the way I covered the things? Yes, please. Need your precious feedback. Happy? Guys, hello. The new techniques, the way I handled the things, the way I explained the things. So thank you very much for your feedback. Right after the session, do give ACCA Pakistan the feedback as well, please, as to how new techniques helped you out, how the session is helping out in to build your confidence. Please, your feedback is important for me, for ACCA. So make sure you give your feedbacks. It will take few minutes. You will get a form at the end of the session once this ends, and just fill that form. Okay. Tomorrow is very, very important area. Don't miss performance measurement. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.